Marine Le Pen is the front-runner to become France's next president.
Now, Marine Le Pen would achieve, depending on the 6 scenarios we tested, between 34 and 35.5%.
Of course, the establishment will do everything in its power to try to stop her, but if she wins, can she actually save France? She would be the first nationalist to govern the country since Charles de Gaulle.
Today, there is a divide that is emerging that we have theorized for a long time, which is the globalist versus nationalist divide.
But there are three enormous obstacles standing in her way: sovereignty, demographics, and institutional power. Let's start with sovereignty. To make the changes necessary to save France, Le Pen would almost certainly violate EU laws.
As we can see, the European Union has now gone beyond the federal model to move towards a centralized unitary state.
And France, in many respects, is no longer a fully sovereign nation. It doesn't have its own currency, for example. That gives Brussels enormous leverage to try and force France into compliance.
We understand that the European Union, this artificial construction, increasingly resembles an empire. It has all the characteristics of one: the domination of a central power over people and populations.
A confrontation with Brussels could raise France's borrowing cost and trigger market pressure. Brussels can also sue France in court and impose financial penalties on it, as it did to Hungary when Orban defied it. Look at what the EU has done to Meloni in Italy. Brussels has fought all of her efforts to try to halt mass migration. The EU, through its various NGOs and other political networks, can also organize opposition to Le Pen throughout Europe and even within France itself, as we've seen with Hungary, the Ukraine, Georgia, Romania, and Serbia, just to name a few. Le Pen could find herself facing a color revolution-style situation with protests in the street, international pressure from the outside, and harmful economic sanctions. She would need to shut this down quickly before it grew large enough to derail her presidency. The second obstacle is demographics. France is the French people. It's not a random collection of humans. It isn't an idea, a constitution, or some vague set of values. It's the French people. Without the French people, there is no France. Just as without the Chinese people, there's no China, and without the English people, there is no England. And sadly, the French are disappearing and being replaced very quickly.
We are reporting from the 18th arrondissement of Paris. As you can see behind me, there are numerous small markets selling meat, fruit, and vegetable in a distinctly African style. I would describe this place as a little Africa. This coincides perfectly with the fact that France has faced massive immigration in recent decades, and today is an example of the repercussions.
The ethnic French share of the population is now down to about 70 to 75%, and it is heavily an older population. Immigrants and their children make up roughly 25 to 30% of the population. And the news only gets worse from there. Only about 58 to 62% of the babies born in France are born to ethnic French parents. And that number continues to decline.
In a country with an already declining birth rate, a new study by the French Institute for Demographic Studies shows the desire to have children has fallen sharply in the past 20 years.
As well, every year, more than 300,000 immigrants move to France. That's a foreign population roughly the size of Nantes or Montpellier, added to France every single year.
There has been some sort of narrative that at first there was no such thing as mass immigration happening in France. Then we were told that it was necessarily a good thing for all aspects, cultural, economic, etc. And then now I would say the latest tactics of these experts is to say that basically whatever, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, you can do anything about it.
Even if Le Pen halted all future immigrations tomorrow somehow, demographic change would continue because of the age structure and birth rates. Just stopping all further immigration is not enough to save France. Remigration is necessary. This illustrates just how difficult demographic trends are to reverse. Without a fundamental reordering of French society, they're unlikely to change quickly. And such a transformation would be extraordinarily difficult from within the EU. The final obstacle is institutional power. Saving France cannot be done without wielding institutional power. Le Pen could win the election next year, but still face hostile courts and state institutions staffed full of people who oppose her agenda and will resist it. We saw this during Donald Trump's first term in the United States on issues of war and immigration. The permanent bureaucracy, the deep state, repeatedly resisted his administration and limited what it could accomplish. Collectively, these institutions can be more powerful than the elected government itself. That should be a major warning to Le Pen. She will need to quickly bring these institutions into alignment with her government's program if she's going to achieve lasting results. The default institutional position needs to become pro-French rather than anti-French. So these are the three major obstacles I see to Marine Le Pen saving France: sovereignty, demographics, and institutional power. Can she do it? Maybe. I certainly hope she can. But overcoming these three major obstacles would require one of the most ambitious political transformations attempted by any Western nation in a very long time. Winning an election is one thing. Saving a nation is another. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, thank you in advance for liking it and subscribing to the channel, and I'll be back with you very soon.